light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Getting more out of life, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello and welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Jo Stanley and I am thrilled to have you, Luke Hines, right here beside me this week.
It is so good to be here, Jo. Darcy's having a very well-deserved post-Olympic Games break after his key commentary role on 7. And can I just say, how good were the Olympic Games in Tokyo? What a show.
Absolutely awesome. The Games got us through lockdown, I think you could say, and the timing couldn't have been better. I really loved the opening ceremony, you know, those 1,800 drones that formed a virtual Earth. It was so beautiful. And tennis star Naomi Osaka lighting the Olympic cauldron was really special as well. It was such a great start.
I tell you what, the outstanding thing for me are the ages of some of the kids competing. I mean, some of them literally are just kids. And apart from the physical strength and stamina it takes simply to get to the Olympics, what about that mental strength needed at that level of sport? I just can't even imagine how they do it.
Well, the Olympics motto was faster, higher, stronger, together. And those themes of unity and taking on challenges together is shared by another vitally important event, National Stroke Awareness Week.
That's right. Being fast is the ultimate goal of our Olympic competitors. And it's also the key to tackling stroke, which remains one of the world's biggest killers.
Knowing and responding to the warning signs fast can literally be the difference between life and death, which is something 40-year-old stroke survivor Stuart Gregg found out firsthand.
The first symptom that occurred was the sharp pinging in my ear, which sounded like a metal pole dropping on concrete. It rang out and reverberated with the last sound that I heard, which was possibly my own voice in saying good morning to my kids.
Stuart Gregg was just 40 years old when he suffered a stroke.
The second symptom I had was when I shook, and it was a very obvious and prominent, like, shoulder shake. I was leaning on the couch with my left arm and my body really shook like that, and it was like I was on board a ride because I wasn't controlling it. It was very prominent. And by the time my wife got to me, that third symptom was when my speech was taken, which felt like, I suppose it felt like my mouth was glued shut. I knew what I wanted to say. I was trying to say it, but it couldn't come out. And I think paired with my ear and what had just happened, I knew it was neurological, and I knew that that something bad was happening, you know. Oh, wow. And I think I worried about dying. I really did worry about dying, but I also worried about the impairment that can happen, like losing your memory or losing something like your speech, like to be able to communicate. So that was the most terrifying thing that I've ever experienced. Yeah, it was extraordinarily confronting, you know, happening in front of my kids and my wife.
Stuart's wife acted immediately. He was in hospital and receiving treatment within the hour.
They call it the clot-busting drug. It's only been readily, I think, available for the last 2 or 3 years. It's been trialled for years before that. But for it to take the most effect, you need to get it within 2 hours of your stroke. So time is crucial. I've heard really unfortunate stories of you know, people sort of waking up to symptoms. People can stroke through the night and waking up to symptoms and not taking action immediately because they think, oh, I might have, you know, it might just be something with my sleep, or, you know, my arm's a bit numb, you know, where they need to err on the side of caution and call 000 straight away if any of those symptoms, or anything else for that matter, that you might think is stroke. You need to move on it.
That was 7 months ago. His quality of life restored thanks to a fast response.
It's funny, after going through such a significant health event, you know, to find so many silver linings. You know, I feel truly so lucky to live in this country, to have access to the quality and leading healthcare that we do, you know, to be able to be okay, you know, still have all my physical attributes, to have my mind, to have my speech, that I can hug and kiss my kids and wife. that my memory's intact, you know, because of the care that I've received. But I truly feel so very lucky to get such a great outcome after going through something so traumatic.
Too many people think they need to push through and be stoic when it comes to their health, but there are crucial, fast signs that come with a stroke: face, arms, speech and time. Here's Professor Bruce Campbell from the Royal Melbourne Hospital with more on the condition that affects around 500,000 Aussies.
FAST is a simple way to remember the key signs of stroke. F stands for face, is your face drooped? A stands for your arm, can you hold it up? S for speech, is it slurred or incomprehensible? And T is really important, it's time to call 000. FAST really is absolutely critical. We have good treatments for stroke now that can substantially reduce your disability. So we have clot dissolving treatments and minimally invasive procedures to physically remove the clot from the brain that really make a huge difference to the amount of disability someone suffers from stroke. There are other signs of stroke. Anything that's sudden onset and feels like it's coming from the brain, be that loss of sensation down one side, loss of vision out to one side, sudden imbalance where you can't walk in a straight line, those are all also potentially signs of stroke. We definitely need people to all be aware of the FAST message. We know that throughout our community in general, awareness is not that great. People sometimes mistake stroke for heart attack. They think that you have pain, which you often don't in stroke. And particularly in our rural and our culturally and linguistically diverse communities, we do not have good awareness of the signs of stroke at all. Many of the risk factors for stroke are well known: high blood pressure, smoking, diabetes, high cholesterol, lack of physical activity. And there are some other risk factors, particularly in young people, with tears in arteries and congenital, as in things you're born with in your heart, that can be a risk factor for stroke as well. The FAST message really is critical because we need people to recognise the signs of stroke and act on them. The treatments we have for stroke are incredibly time critical. We can remove clots from the brain, but every minute that passes there's more brain damage done. So if you can get to hospital at 1 hour instead of 4 hours, that's a huge difference in the risk of disability. If you suspect the signs of stroke, then 000 is the way to get to hospital. We don't want people to drive themselves, clearly, if you're having a stroke, and it's best to be through the ambulance because they can pre-notify the emergency department of a suspected stroke and get everything working in advance of arrival.
Welcome back. There's not one person on the planet who hasn't been affected by the fallout from the pandemic, and it's that commonality, I think, that has brought us all together. No doubt that lockdown has been a real challenge for all of us as far as our mental health and our sense of well-being is concerned. And certainly for us in our household, one of the ways we've handled it is to really batten down the hatches and spend time with each other as a family and go, how do we make the most of this? Which has generally meant, yes, a little bit of jigsaw puzzle, a little bit of Lego, lots of sitting on the couch watching TV,
yes.
Right, lots of that. And we have dived into the 90s. I have loved it. We've watched Friends, Sopranos. We've just gone back to all those moments of the 90s that we love so much.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I've been delving into all things 90s movies, and I'm talking a big mixed bag. I've gone from Sister Act to Braveheart, and I was sitting there watching it and I thought, there's that iconic catch cry, "They'll never take our freedom." It is so famous. And I'm sitting there thinking, hang on, half of Australia is locked down. That is exactly what people are worried about at the moment, is their freedoms and losing them.
Yes, it's a fantastic motto, though. They'll never take our freedom. It's funny, right, because that film is the direct inspiration behind Aussie charity Braveheart Freedom Fighters. They're all about empowering men, especially, to care for their mental health while they're well in the battle against anxiety and depression.
In our business, we sell preventative maintenance programs. It's roof cleaning, gutter cleaning, it's switchboard maintenance, all those types of things. But we hadn't promoted it much internally around preventative maintenance for our bodies, for our minds and those sorts of things. So Braveheart brings a lot of that, some tools for us to be able to do that.
If all we can ever do is help people understand the importance of diet, exercise and sleep, to help you stay in that healthy frame of mind, we can actually positively contribute to how people operate in society.
There's no doubt it's unique. Having a 55-year-old guy turn up in a kilt at 6:30 in the morning when it's 1 degree is pretty unique. But he's just passionate about it, as you can tell by listening to him.
Your diet has got a lot to do with how you feel. How can you guys create an internal buddy system that you're all watching out for each other? Just as little reminders, hey mate, how are you going with your chocolate today?
Look, as a tradie, we have pretty stressful jobs sometimes. You might come in one day and it's cruisy, everything's looking all good, and then all of a sudden plans have changed and it's rush. So yeah, absolutely, there's been some times where my mental health has suffered.
What's one thing you reckon you could tick from this, Matt?
I probably wouldn't even touch a glass of water or a bottle of water until midday. By the time you finish the day, I might have water again and then get home and it's on the beers, so... Yeah, that's definitely something I could change.
Good on you.
I think Braveheart talks in general, they really humanise the mental health side of things. They make it very relatable. It's easy to say you need to look after your mental health, but to actually say, hey, you need at least 7 hours of sleep a night, I mean, that's something that's measurable, and you can say, oh, either I did or I didn't.
Tradies definitely have that kind of attitude where they just get straight into work and their mental health gets pushed to the side kind of thing, and it's all about being tough and strong. So Braveheart kind of breaks that down, and we laugh and we have a good time talking about all these things. And I hear from my colleagues how they're struggling.
I snooze my alarm all the time at the minute. I have to set 5 alarms because, it's...
Well, that'll be an indication that you're not getting a restful night's sleep.
Yeah.
So it's all the things that you're doing prior.
Eating the chocolate.
Absolutely right.
We can all hold each other accountable. It's easy to say, mate, you bought your lunch 6 times, in the last couple of weeks or whatever, I thought we were meant to be eating healthy.
If you go away and start looking at implementing some of these things that we've talked about this morning, let's regroup in 3 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time and say, all right, what have you experienced just by implementing some of these basics?
There's a number of people in our team now that are on a health journey, they're on a sleep journey, they've recognised that they can actually make some changes. And then they're not just better employees, they're better fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, etc. So it's probably one of those touchy-feely things that some employers don't want to go near because they don't understand. And to be honest, it's taken me a long time to get my head around it, how we can integrate it. But now that we have, and we've been on that journey for quite a few years now, we couldn't do without it.
You wouldn't picture from the outside that he was so tender, open and gentle with what he could talk about.
But I think it's really important for those people that they're hearing from someone who really relates to their industry as well. So powerful. Absolutely love it. So I'm really thrilled to welcome the founder of Braveheart Freedom Fighters, David Broadhurst. Hi, David. It's lovely to have you on the House of Wellness.
Thank you.
Now, David, how big of an issue is mental health for tradies?
When you look at suicide, there's more people take their own lives in construction, sadly, than get killed on the job nowadays.
Well, tell us a bit about your own background in the industry and the impact that it had on your mental health.
I never experienced any issues with anxiety and depression until after I set up a business about 10 years ago that was outside of construction. So it wasn't necessarily construction that nailed me from an anxiety perspective. It was running my own business and the challenges that brought about. So.
And can you share a little bit about what your challenges were, what you went through?
Well, I put it down to a good metabolism when it first started to happen. Typical bloke response, right? I'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, wringing wet through with sweat. I later found out through people that I'd met that was a sign of anxiety. And I later found out that what was the contributor for me, or what the tipping point was for me, was financial pressure. And so I then started to go looking and exploring, well, how can we help people be aware of these issues ahead of time so that they don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning wringing wet through with sweat? Because what I've learned personally, and I don't know anybody else that have experienced similar, that once you've opened that door, you never seem to be able to properly shut it ever again.
What was the turning point for you to actually start Braveheart? Were you drawing from your own experience?
I think a bit of that, Luke, and I think also the fact that there's some great programmes out there, don't get me wrong, but most programmes, when you look at them, they either train people to identify someone like me who might be struggling, or they start intervening once someone has got to a point of distress. And for my mind, it's like, well, it's too late. Why we need to be looking at this upstream of the issue. So really our tagline is equipping people while they're well that they get to stay well. If you're having those conversations when people are at a point of distress or they're anxious or there's depression, those conversations are really difficult to have, and you need skills to have them without compounding the issue. When I had the challenges I had a few years ago, I went to some of them people and said, what pushed me over the edge? By looking at those issues and just helping people understand, what do I need to know ahead of time, that when I experience a little bit of gut churn or anxiety, you know what to do next, that it doesn't become depression and suicidal thoughts.
One of the tradies in the story mentioned that most men have that kind of hard exterior on the outside, and that there's this kind of wanting to appear strong and not wanting to open up. How do you tackle that?
It's difficult, right? But I think the big thing is we've got to realise that we're all human, right? You know, we've all got feelings, we've all got emotions. The fact that men are retarded around acknowledging them, and I just go in with for me, it's about being raw, authentic, transparent. If we can help people understand that, you know what, you don't have to have it all together. This is just life. I just want to facilitate a conversation and stand back and let them share ideas amongst themselves, so it becomes a peer review process on what you suggested. I'm going to try that tonight when I get home. You know, so it's about empowering people that it's not that complicated if you get the basics right.
Are there any recurring problems that you hear a lot about in particular? What are the main issues we're looking at here?
I think when you're dealing with a predominantly male-dominated environment, which is where we normally hang out, it's usually around financial pressure and relationships. And for guys, it's about communication, you know, both external and internal, because we all suffer from sometimes pretty negative self-talk. And both lads and lasses experience that.
Most definitely. You also touch on financial literacy in your program. Why is that?
I think because it's the one for me, or it was the one that I found out was my trigger. If you've got financial pressure in a household, it very rarely doesn't impact everything else. And also, if we can help people get their finances under control and live within their means, and that's why tradies seem to have a few challenges in that space, because when you get deeper under the bonnet of what drives behaviour, it's their belief. And most tradies have got a poor self-image because people in society look down on tradies because we wear high-vis, we're not intelligent, we're not educated. You know, and I think that's the bit for me. Well, what are they competent? They usually go and buy a $70,000 fancy ute to make themselves feel better because it makes them feel good driving down the street, but that's masking self-image issues that is really the challenge that people are dealing with.
What sort of feedback are you getting from the tradies on the ground? Is there any one reaction that really stands out for you?
There's quite a number, but probably the one that I get, why is nobody else telling us this, Brodie?
Yeah.
Why is nobody else talking about this to us? And I'm like, I don't know, but aren't you glad we are? Right? Because and especially when you go into trade school, you've got guys there, 16, 17, 18, they're just contemplating leaving the nest and stepping out on their own. And like I said to them, guys, you're here to learn the tools of life. Let's get your thought life right as well. Because if you don't get that right, it doesn't matter how good you are with the tools. You're going to, at some point in your career, something's going to come and give you a bite.
When you do go out, you do wear an interesting outfit. We've seen it in the story there with your purpose-made kilt. Tell us why the bells and whistles and why the kilt.
The tradie kilt?
Yeah, I love it.
Well, I think the inspiration came from the Braveheart movie, right? And for me, and again, because of what I learned when I was a supervisor, it's about cognitive triggers. How do I help people remember what could save their life? Inspiration came from Braveheart. Braveheart, it's all Scottish, kilt, you know. And so for the kilt for me was, I don't mind if I have to stand in front of you guys looking like a bit of an idiot if you remember the conversation. Because people will forget the conversation before they forget the kilt. Yeah, so I don't mind putting my kilt. I was 50-50 on whether I wore my dress kilt, because I've got a...
You got a fancy one?
Oh, I've got a fancy one. Yeah, thank you.
David, thank you so much for coming in and telling us about Braveheart Freedom Fighters and the amazing work that you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us and thanks for taking an interest.
Thanks, mate. Welcome back to the House of Wellness Kitchen, where I am joined by my companion in health, GQ. Now, I want you to prepare yourself today. We are tackling a big one, immune health.
Well, it certainly is, Heinzie. The immune system is a complex system made up of cells and proteins designed to help our body's defence against infection. It's especially important at this time of the year, but it should really be on our minds all year round. And there are a number of things we can do to keep it in check.
Well, that is actually where I come in. From an ingredient perspective, you cannot go past broccoli. It is a nutrient-dense powerhouse, and it actually gives oranges a run for its money when it comes to the vitamin C. Plus, broccoli is packed with antioxidants, which give our immune system a massive boost. But from a cook's perspective, I love using it because it's so versatile. So today, I'm going to make my crispy broccoli pakora.
I'm definitely not turning that down, Heinzie, but we can rely on the herbal world to support our immune defences and help reduce the symptoms if ever we do catch that pesky cold.
All right, slow down. It's not a competition, but I'm all ears.
Firstly, there's andrographis, whose leaves and underground stems are used in traditional Chinese medicine to address the symptoms that we find in common cold, such as sore throat, phlegm, coughs and fever. It also helps reduce the severity of these annoying symptoms.
Oof, they are some of my absolute worst side effects. No thanks.
Well, what about fatigue?
Fatigue, I forgot about the fatigue. That's the worst because you can't even get out of bed in the morning.
In that case, Heinzie, we turn to Siberian ginseng. This is a small woody plant which is an adaptogen. We call it an adaptogen because it helps our body handle and cope with stress. It also helps you get better sooner because it fights fatigue.
How powerful is the plant world? And can I just say, hypothetically, if this were to be a competition between us, I'd definitely be taking out the title because my broccoli pakora are looking so crispy. You can't do that with your fancy herbs, can you?
I will admit today, Heinzie, that you have won the Flavoursome Award. But remember, these nutrients we talked about are available in supplement form alongside other immune-boosting ingredients like echinacea and zinc to provide a healthy recovery and immune support.
All right, we're both winners today.
Well, you never let me do all the cooking, but I'm a winner too because I'm allowed to do this.
Don't burn yourself.
Oh, nice.
The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by Ethical Nutrients. Support your immune system and live life resilient this winter.
Oh, Heinzie, those pakoras look delicious. Is that a recipe in one of your cookbooks?
It sure is, Jo. Thank you, by the way. It's from my book that combines fasting with low-carb recipes to prove that broccoli isn't boring.
I love broccoli. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's one of the veggies that has the most of the goodness and the nutrition.
Nutritionist approved, yes. Packed full of nutrients, yes. Every N word you can get.
Well, for my daughter, I say just eat the broccoli. All the other vegetables I can kind of get past. As long as you eat the broccoli, I feel like I've been a good mum. What is your favourite vegetable?
Oh, I'd definitely say the sweet potato. Crisp it up, turn it into chips, dip it into aioli, plenty of salt. Yum.
Yum. I tell you what I'm loving at the moment, oranges, OK? A big serve of freshly squeezed orange juice in the morning is the best, and I've just discovered Cara oranges.
Well, you shouldn't have got me started, Jo, because I love oranges. There's so many choices, Jo. We've got the Seville, the Valencia, the Mandarin, Tangerine, Clementine. We got the blood, the Cara, the Tangelo. You know, they come in all different sizes,
you
shapes.
You forgot the navel.
Oh, the navel. So it's an easy one to remember too.
So this week, it's all about the fruit, especially the juicy ones. Let's start with the grapefruit. They're full of vitamin C and great to boost your metabolism. It's not for everyone, being a little bit on the tart side. Under the skin is a thick, white, spongy pith. You can add this to your smoothie if you want to increase your fibre intake. Also, it's a great food thickener in my soups, my sauces, even my jams and marmalades. They come in lots of colours, yellow, pink, ruby red. Most people buy ruby red grapefruit for their gin and tonics. Cheers, big ears. Don't you just hate it when lemons are out of season? So lucky, at the moment, they're in good supply. And there is no limit to what we can do with lemons. Make a lemon curd, preserved lemon, lemon butter, make your own sorbets, add them to a dessert, to a salad. I add them to my roast chicken. The list goes on. Just a squeeze of a lemon, a little bit of olive oil, a dash of salt and pepper, and away you go. A drink that I make on a daily basis, fresh squeeze of lemon juice, ginger, turmeric, boil for 10 minutes. That is just soothing and calming to my gut. It's also anti-inflammatory and very alkalising to the body. The hero of the winter fruits for me is the sweet, juicy mandarins. They are easy to peel, seedless, juicy and flavoursome. There are quite a few varieties. Here we have the Tangelo, which is a cross between a mandarin and a grapefruit. It's seedless, it's packed full of water, it's hydrating, its skin is quite versatile, great in a salad, great in a stir-fry, desserts. Also, what I've just recently started doing is with leftover coffee ground, a little bit of mandarin peel, touch of coconut oil, mix it all up, and what I have is homemade body scrub. Just let me show you how juicy and sweet and delicious it is. Amazing taste. Can you see the juice in that?
That was Rosemary Devola, who starts every day with an Indonesian drink called jamu, a concoction of fresh ginger, turmeric and black pepper boiled up in some water. You let it cool and then you just throw it back like a shot of tequila.
Really good for your gut, Joe. Coupling that with the turmeric, with the black pepper, enhances its effect, aiding the absorption. And, of course, all those ingredients, the curcumin in the turmeric, the piperine in the black pepper and the ginger, all have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant qualities. That is one hell of a powerful shot right there.
Speaking of powerhouses, don't go away because Dr Nick Carr examines our skin health, warts and all, right after this.
It's time for all the beauty lovers to come out from hibernation. Winter has closed its doors, and with a new season comes the perfect opportunity for you all to update your makeup kit. My makeup look today embraces flawless, fresh face complexion, all while giving you the illusion that you've had 8 hours sleep, which, let's be honest, you're probably like me and you haven't. So B, we're going to start today by concealing underneath your eyes where we get that little bit of darkness and it can be a little dull. So I would typically just apply 3 little dots here and then with a brush, just lightly buff it in. You can use your fingertips as well. So when looking for a concealer, especially under the eyes, it's really important to look for something that's long lasting, that is perfecting. What's so special about the Revlon Colorstay 24-Hour Skin Awaken Concealer? It's the fact that it's actually got skincare benefits. So the formula has vitamin C and caffeine in it, which works so well under the eye because vitamin C instantly brightens and caffeine, I mean, the word itself instantly makes me feel awake. We know what it does the inside. However, under the eye area, it reduces puffiness. I love using concealer almost like an eraser. So if you want to have a really sharp, snatched eye, concealer is your secret weapon. So we've color corrected underneath the eye, and now is a really great time to add our foundation and just buff that into the skin. I've selected the Revlon Colorstay Liquid Foundation in shade 330, and this is for the normal to dry skin. So the relationship between foundation and concealer is much like sisters. They need each other and they work together really well as a family. And I've picked this foundation because it works really beautifully with the concealer, and Revlon have actually thought about the consumer. They've thought about someone who has normal to dry skin and someone who has combination to oily, because we all have different skin types and it's really important to understand that when selecting a foundation. I like to just apply it with the brush, and then if you want a little bit of warmth, if you want a little bit more of a dewiness finish, you can then press in your fingers. and to complete this really earthy, beautiful, wearable look. Today I have chosen to use the Revlon Satin Ink lipstick range. It's a 16-hour long wear. It moisturises the lips, which is imperative when you're applying lipstick, and the fact that it moisturises so well is because it has the blackcurrant seed and vitamin E. So the great thing about the Colourstay Satin Ink is it's got a really beautiful applicator, and it makes it easy, especially around the Cupid's bow, to just apply that lipstick and it not go everywhere. So trends change, they come and go, but I know spring summer makeup is my favourite. And that's because you not only get to use bronzer and beautiful bronze caramel tones, but it's all about being healthy and fresh.
Jade Kay there with her tips on how to cover up unwelcome spots and blemishes. OK, Heinzie, let's get really serious here. I have one word for you, warts.
What?
Yeah,
Wait, hang on. No, I can't. No.
OK, it's a scary one, but OK, if it's not pimples, no one escapes them. Then warts are a close second, because most people get one at some point in their lives. So have you had your one yet?
No, thankfully I haven't, Jo, but I'm prepared if the day comes, because I've heard just about every method to get rid of them. I mean, you can rub them with a copper coin, cover them with a bit of banana peel. There is super glue.
What?
Yeah, even honey, but wait for this, Jo. What you can do is you can get a live snail and you can rub it on the wart, and then you have to bury that snail alive, and as the snail dies, the wart disappears.
OK, that sounds very technical.
Yeah, it's science.
Yeah. How about we just ask Dr Nick Carr instead?
Of all the icky things that can turn up on the human body, one of my absolute favourites is the common wart. Whether on the hands, knees or feet, verruca or papilloma, oh yes, I love a good wart. Now, pretty much all of us had warts when we were kids, but they can happen at any age. In fact, I've got a wart which I'm going to show you in a minute. But first, what causes them? Well, despite what your grandmother might have told you, it's not due to touching a toad. Oh yes, I know, they look pretty warty, but they are innocent. Warts are actually due to a virus called human papillomavirus, or HPV. And it's really good at getting through cracked or wet skin, which is why public swimming pools are a really good way to get warts on the sole of your foot. Now, do warts matter? Well, not really. They don't look very nice, which is why witches are always portrayed with warts on their noses. But some people want to get rid of them, so what can we do? Well, perhaps the simplest way is to do nothing. Yes, really. Because warts are a virus in the skin, eventually our immune system will wake up to the invader and just kill it off. So warts will disappear naturally within a year or two. If that's too long to wait, there are various potions and lotions that you can buy at the pharmacy that you can paint on. And my favourite home remedy is duct tape. Put a little piece on the wart every day, rub it down with an emery board a couple of times a week, and within a month or two, hey presto, wart gone. Perhaps. If you really, really want to get rid of a wart, the best way is to freeze it to death. Now, we doctors use liquid nitrogen, which is at a shiver-inducing minus 196 degrees Celsius. Now, I told you earlier that I've got a wart, and it's on my foot. So let's get on and treat it. First, I get some liquid nitrogen from the special container and pour it into a polystyrene cup, which will keep it cold. Then I dip the cotton bud in there and apply it to the wart. Wait till it's frozen, let it warm up, then we do it a second time. And that's it. Job done. And this is what keeps the kids coming back. Magic.
Well, many fats and oils get a bad rap. I know one of the best is omega-3, and that's found in fish like salmon. And, you know, I do love some seafoods, but what other people don't know about me is that I'm turning more to plant-based or vegan diets.
Oh, OK.
You inspired me with your vegan cookbook.
Das gives you a bit of a hard time about that, doesn't he?
Das is a bit of a stirrer. But, you know, I do love fish. I love salmon.
Fish is great, but healthy oils are not only found in the sea, Joe. How about I show you a couple of great alternatives that are easy, effective, and best of all, you won't even know you're having them. There certainly are bad fats and oils out there. We're talking things like saturated fats and trans fats. Now, they're found in deep-fried foods, things like pizzas, hot chips, hamburgers, all of that type of stuff. The ones I want to focus on are monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats. These good fats can be found in foods such as fatty fish, avocados, nuts and seeds. These are the types of fats and oils we should be celebrating each and every day for optimal health. You can also incorporate healthy fats and oils into your everyday routine. It is so easy, and I'm going to show you how with two options from the Melrose range. Now, if you've followed me in the kitchen for a while, you'll know I absolutely love MCT oil. I add it to my coffee each and every day without fail. It's an incredible natural fatty acid, and thanks to its light and tasteless qualities, it's really versatile. Adding it to a coffee or even a smoothie like this, which is my double choc chip thick shake. What makes MCT oil so unique is that it is absorbed differently in the body to other dietary fats. It's easily processed and digested in the liver, providing a readily used source of fuel rather than being stored in the body as fat. Unlike the crash that you can experience when you consume sugar or caffeine, MCT oil provides a sustained source of energy and can help keep you feeling fuller for longer. I've used the MCT oil Brain Power in my chocolate thick shake today because it can improve mental clarity. Perfect for when I have massive days on set where I need to stay focused. But if you're looking more to support your physical performance, Melrose have Kickstart, which helps you burn fat as fuel, or energy and exercise for workout endurance. There really is something for everyone. Time to dig in. Actually, no. You guys know me too well. I always lean into desserts, but we got to go back a little bit, all right? So we'll put that down. I'm going to show you how to make a delicious omega green salad. One of the richest sources of plant-based omega-3s actually come from flaxseed oil. It's a fantastic vegan or vegetarian alternative to fish oil. Now, we really need to get those omega-3 fatty acids into our life because they're responsible for bone and joint health, skin health, brain health, even cardiovascular health. What I love about the Melrose flaxseed oil is that it has a delicious creamy and nutty taste. It balances out the tartness of the lemon and the sweetness of the maple syrup, making it the perfect companion to this salad. You could add it to a smoothie, a homemade dip, drizzle it over your veggies, or have it straight up. So rather than adopting a low-fat approach, look at incorporating healthier fats and oils into your lifestyle and ditching the bad ones, because remember, we don't want to skimp on flavour, and this is where the deliciousness is at.
Welcome back. Earlier, Rosemary Devola shared her homemade scrub made from coffee grind and mandarin peel, which got us thinking what other uses there are for orange and mandarin skins.
Well, here's one, Joe, that's actually helping farmers in need. An orange juice producer on the central coast of New South Wales has donated about 200 tonnes of orange peel in a year to farmers who are battling the mouse plague.
Yes, I love this so much. The mice have been devouring all the feed, leaving nothing for the livestock. But for some reason, mice won't touch orange peel. So mixing in orange peel with the grain is saving animals and livelihoods. Who would have thought that?
Absolutely. Now, it turns out that sheep kind of like the orange peel as well, so some farmers are supplementing sheep food with the peel as well.
What else can our farmers go through? It's been such a hard time for them. If not drought, it's a flood or a mice plague. But how good is it? There's a food waste product that would normally end up in landfill that's making such an impact.
And what a generous donation from East Coast Foods and Beverages there on the Central Coast in New South Wales.
It's really awesome. So thank you so much to them. That's it for today. Get onto the House of Wellness website to find out more on anything you've seen on the show. And if you want even more, tune into the House of Wellness radio show every Sunday with me and Gerald Quigley. And Heinzie, the exciting thing is that Series 2 of our podcast, Best of You, has launched with Dr. Jamie Lee. It's all about finding ways to bring the best versions of ourselves, even in life's most challenging times. And you can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't miss the lift out in your weekend paper featuring the wonderful Jade Kisnorbo on the cover.
Thanks to our friends at Chemist Warehouse, and until next time, stay safe and keep well.